Hello everyone, my name is Anita and this is my sewing channel, Sewing Yogi. So welcome back to another episode of Friday Sews. Now I haven't been on here for a while, I can't even remember the last time I did a Friday Sews, and I did actually think that I was probably going to have to start maybe filming on a day that's perhaps a bit easier for me to film on, and then perhaps put the video up in the kind of midweek, because doing it on a Friday, somehow I just can't seem to get it done on for a Friday. So yeah, I managed to get it done this week, however. So welcome back if you have already subscribed and you've seen my channel before. And if you haven't subscribed or been here before, then welcome. I just talk a lot about sewing, my adventures of sewing and some other crafty stuff. Sometimes I talk about some things that I'm doing around the house, or some knitting, which I haven't shown you for a while, but that's because my knitting is taking me forever to do. I've had to unravel it a few times, and I must admit it's not the most amazing job I've ever done in my life, but you know, I'm not bothered. I'm just going to carry on doing it. So first off, for my Friday Sews today, I'm going to show you what I've made this past week. I'll get on with what I'm wearing. This is my most amazing make, I think, so far. I love it so much. So first of all, I told you I was going to make some Palazzo pants, which I have done. And I'm going to stand back and show you. You probably won't be able to see it very well, so I'm going to add in some pictures of this. And if you are following me on Instagram, then you'll see on my Instagram page that I've already put up pictures of these makes. But I shall show you what I have made. So you might just be able to see me over in this distance. But to try and get the full length of this, I've had to stand on my step, and I have made it quite long because I plan to wear it with heels or my kind of wedges, and I love them. I think they're fantastic. You might just be able to see in the distance there, but I really, really love them. You're not going to see a bit closer now on the back. It's got back darts here and a back zip. I put an invisible zip in that, and it has like a waistband here. Now this is meant to have pockets, but I took the pockets off, and you might be able to see where I've tried to attempt to put the pockets and it stretched the fabric slightly. So that is a little bit annoying. So yes, I really, really love them. Now this is the pattern that I used. It's a Simple Sew pattern, which is a British company. I think it's attached to Love Sewing magazine. Yeah, so now the pattern itself, and this is why I didn't put the pockets in, is not the greatest pattern, or the instructions, I should say, are not great. So they're very minimal, and I think if you're a beginner, which it does actually say it's meant for a beginner on here, now I don't think that you're going to be able to manage this with this pattern. It's only because I've made similar things to this before that I kind of knew what I was doing. However, if I'd have read these instructions as a beginner, I would have thought, what do they mean by that? What does that mean? And also, there's quite a few things that are wrong in this pattern instructions. Now, I only bought this pattern recently, so I'm assuming that this is, you know, the newest version that they have, unless they've given me something that's old stock, I don't know, and they've now changed it. Yeah, there's a few issues with the construction. So it first tells you to overlock the waistbands along the longest edge, which is the bottom edge, and then you have to put your darts in the back, and then it tells you to sew up the crotch seam on the back of these trousers, and it tells you to do the same on the front piece. When I was reading this and I was looking at the diagrams and the pictures, what it actually says and what the diagram shows doesn't correlate. So originally I put my zip in on the front, and so I left a hole at the front and closed at the back because of the way it explains it. So it says here, right sides together, stitch back trousers together from centre back down to the crotch, and then back stitch several times, which is what I did. Now at that point it doesn't tell you about anything to do with the zip. That's the back of the trousers. Now the back of the trousers is meant to have a gap. So now we're doing the right side of the front. So So it says right sides together, join the front trousers at the crotch, stopping just short of where the end of the zipper will end. Now you don't put the zipper in the front, so that's wrong. So that was a bit of a pain because I'd already put my my gap in on the front, but it was okay. I could adjust it. I hadn't gone any further than that. I just remember thinking about it, thinking that's wrong. How's my zip going to go in the front? Well, that's going to look odd. So then when I came back to it and had another look, I realised the zip is meant to go in the back. And actually the diagram does show in that one that's the back that has the zip in, but it's talking about the front there, so they don't correlate. So ignore that. And then pockets, I did not like at all. You're just given one piece or the pattern piece itself is just one piece, and you're told to sort of flop it over, and that's going to become your pocket. However, I had such a nightmare with the way it came together and the construction. I just felt it didn't look the most neatest job, and I kept trying to suss it out in my head whether I'd done it wrong, or I'd got the wrong side round, or I just kept thinking, have I done this wrong? But the more I read it, I kept thinking, no, I'm doing it the right way. But to me, you would have ended up with massive bulky seams down this side bit here. So when I put them in eventually, there was just so much bulk in the seams where it just wasn't neat. It just didn't look neat to me. And I'm sure there's got to be an easier way, a better way of putting in a pocket that makes it lie flat. I'm sure I've done other pockets where it just lies lovely and flat and the seams don't bulk out. But at the bottom it was like all bunched and just did not like, so I just took them out. Well, I actually took them out once, tried it again, and then again it was still wrong. So I'd actually put the pockets in twice. That's why I've stretched all the fabric out on the sides, because I did give it two goes, and then just ripped them out, chucked them away, well, stuffed them in my closet called poof. And forgot about them, and thought next time I make these trousers, I'm going to look for another pattern that I have. I'm sure I've got one somewhere. There's pockets that are a bit better. I think the pockets where you have two pocket bags on one is better than having just two fabric pieces and you're just folding those over to make two pockets. Does that make sense? So it's better if you're cutting 4 than just 2, in my opinion. In fact, I'm just remembered the Martha dress has pockets, and I'm sure that they're just inseam pockets where you don't notice as a pocket, and I'm sure that's just 2 pockets together to make one. So I'm going to look at that pattern again, see how they put theirs in, because I'm sure that turned out really beautiful and looked really neat. So in future, that's what I will do. And then apart from that, the rest of it went okay. I was worried because I thought when it gets to actually doing the waistband and the zip, is it going to be really awful? But actually, they're just standard way you would put those in. If you've done them before, then, fairly easy. But again, if you're a beginner, you might struggle a little bit because it doesn't tell you to do any understitching. It doesn't tell you to finish any seams, which is one of the things that I was annoyed at. It only tells you to finish those seams off on the waistband right at the beginning, and then it doesn't tell you to finish any of your other seams. So fortunately, because I've obviously done this before, I went ahead and just overlocked all my edges and knew the right places to overlock them. If you were unsure or you've never done this before, you may have to make the whole lot first and then realise afterwards that none of your seams are finished. So it's a little bit annoying. I found that really odd. And then at the end, when they're telling you to do the waistband, it doesn't tell you to which way your seam should face. So normally it will tell you to press the seam either towards the band or towards the trousers. Now the first time I did it, I actually pressed the seam that's inside here upwards towards the waistband, but I found that was actually quite bulky, and when it came to then putting the facing down, because it's just loose facing, it just kept flipping out and sitting weird. So what I actually did was I understitched the inside of this facing, and then I've actually put some tacking stitches. So I turned that facing down, the seam allowance down once again, so it's pointing downwards. because you do overlock those bits. And then I've literally just slip stitched this in because it drove me nuts. It kept flipping outwards or rolling outwards. So apart from that, the zip went in fine. I don't think I had any issues with the zip. Apart from the fact that I don't like zips. I really don't like zips at all. Now I put my zips in the most long-winded, tedious way ever, just so that I can get it in properly, because I struggle with just getting the zips in. I've tried using the sticky stuff, the tape, I can't remember what it's called. You can buy it off haberdashery shops and Amazon. It basically, it's sticky, double-sided, and you put it in on your fabric, and then once it stays in there, and once you wash it, it just comes out. I've tried it, doesn't work. I've tried just tacking it in. It doesn't work for me. It just doesn't work. So I have to do it the long-winded way. So what I do is I take my seam allowances, as you would if you were just doing a normal regular seam, and I literally, from where the zip has to go, I stitch a tacking stitch or basting stitch down like you would if you were putting in a regular zip. Then I place my closed zip over the top, lining up the teeth with that centre seam. I then tack it in. I then undo the basting stitch that I've done and put in the seam, and then I sew in the zip, and then I take out the tacking stitches. Does that make sense? So it's a very long-winded way of doing it, because otherwise what they usually say is an invisible zip is just press the seam so you've got a seam line, and then line up your teeth with that seam line. No, it doesn't work for me. It's not accurate enough for me. I just think it looks wobbly and weird. It doesn't work. So I hand baste mine in quite vigorously so it doesn't shift or move around, because that really annoys me. Then I will undo those basting stitches down the centre seam like you do with a regular zip, and then I use my invisible zipper foot on my machine to go down as close as I can down by the teeth, so you get that lovely invisible zip, and I think it works. So I mean, if you can see, I need to stand up on a chair, but always works. So if you don't mind having to do all that long-winded stuff, but you do make sure that you get a good zip, then do that. If you're happy doing your other way and it works for you, then that's great. It never works for me. So anyway, I thought I'd tell you about that. And then I decided, because I didn't have that many tops to go with these trousers, and I've only got one vest top which I thought would be okay, and I did some shots with that vest top which are in Instagram, and I'm going to put the pictures in here so you can see that picture. But I thought, I've got no tops, and I was really annoyed because this fabric, if you've seen any of my other vlogs, when I bought this fabric, it had a fault in it. So it had a snag going down it, the full length, but then, you know, I did know it was there. The lady showed me in the market store. She said, this has got a problem, but I'll give it you for less money or whatever. I said, that's fine, I'll have it. I can still make something out of it. So that was all I had left, was the parts of the fabric that had the snags down. So I thought, I wonder if I could squeeze out a sew over it silk cami from this fabric that I've got left. So I had a go, and unfortunately I couldn't avoid the snagged bits, the bits that were fraying and kind of torn. It's really strange. It looks like it's been, I don't know, when the machine just tore it as it was being printed or something, but something's happened to it anyway. So, you know what, I thought, I'm just going to cut this out, and if it looks rubbish, no one needs to know about it. No one doesn't have to, you know, no one's going to see it. But I wanted to make it so that if I made the trousers again, if I made a sew over it cami with it, would it look okay together? Because I wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to be too bulky. Because sometimes when you have tops, I think they sit kind of bulky underneath here. And I didn't know whether this was going to be too baggy, this top, but I actually think it looks fine. So back to the snagged fabric. So if you're still with me, what I decided to do, because I really liked it once I started making it, and these snags were, you know, kind of annoying me. Now, fortunately, the one that's on the front sits right under here, so it's right at the bottom. So I was like, great, the front is okay, but then the ones on the back were a bit more obvious. So I shall spin around. There's one up here on the back, and then there's another one down here somewhere, and then there's another one that's like down here. Now you won't be able to see on camera, but what I did was to basically stop it fraying. Now this is a tip that my mother-in-law gave me. If you have a hole in something, or you know, you've a moth's been at your clothes and nibbled at it a little bit, but you know, it's a really good piece of clothing you don't want to get rid of, then if you have some Wonderweb, now it's called Wonderweb in this country, and I don't know whether it's called something else in another country, but it's basically like a webbing tape that you use if you don't want to sew something. So it's sticky on both sides. So it's a little bit like interfacing, but it has the glue on both sides and it's more transparent. If you stick that onto the fabric on the back, and then use another piece of fabric which is the same colour, or if you've got the same fabric, great, and cut a little square up the same size, and you place that over the top of the Wonderweb and you press a hot iron on it, it glues it into place. So when you look at it the right way, you can't really see anything. Now I'm going to try and show you where these bad bits are. See, there's one there, there's just a tiny one there. And basically it kind of glues that, and it stops it from fraying and getting bigger. Now, in the inside of this top, it looks a little bit like, I don't know whether they do this anymore on bikes, but in the old days, when you had a bike, a bicycle, and your tyre was got a puncture, they used to sell these little kits. My granddad used to have them, and it was like a little bit of a tape that you sort of super glued over the hole in your tyre, and it looks like a bit weird and patchy, but you know, you can still ride your bike, you can still pump it up and it works fine. That's what the inside of this top looks like, with these little patches of fabric all dotted in there. But you know what? I think it's kind of worked, because I don't think anyone else would notice these. So yeah, I thought I could kind of get away with this. I'm going to give it a go anyway and see if anyone notices. And to be fair, I don't think anyone is going to say anything about it, but I absolutely love the top, and I think it really works. And it's like a faux jumpsuit, because obviously, you know, with jumpsuits, we love a jumpsuit, but of course, when it comes to going to the bathroom, they're a nightmare. You have to take the whole thing off. And in public, if you're having to go to a public bathroom, then that's not the nicest thing to do in the world. So I just thought this was a really good idea, and this is what I'm going to do now for another pair of these Palazzo pants. I'm going to match it to the top, so it's kind of like a faux jumpsuit, because I do love a jumpsuit. I did write on my Instagram post, I might be being delusional that I think that I look really good in these, and I don't look that good, but I've had some lovely comments and people saying that no, it looks really nice and looks what it works. And you know, I'm not too short for these things, because I mean, that's the only problem when you're small. Anything with wide legs like this, you think, oh, I'm never gonna be able to wear those. You know, I'm just gonna look weird. And I think I have made them a little bit too long. I might actually have to shorten them. But I haven't made any adjustments to the length of these. I haven't altered any of the depth, the crotch depth or the crotch rise or anything. Now I did think I would maybe have to lower this down a little bit, because I thought, oh, it sits a bit too high for me. I don't know if I like it that high. And when I made it, I thought it was a little bit snug as well. But what I did do, I sprayed this fabric with so much spray starch that it literally could stand up on its own, because I didn't want another episode of when I made the Sylvia robe and it slipped everywhere. I didn't want any of that. I put my walking foot on my machine. I put a really long stitch length on my machine as well, which was about 2.5. And what else did I do? I think that was it. And I think it worked. It worked. It didn't snag. It didn't pucker any of the seams up. So my French seams on this one are much better than they were in the Sylvia robe. But yes, so for the trousers, babbling a lot on about this. So the trousers, I made a straight size 10. Haven't made any adjustments. I might leave them as they are. I did think I'm going to take this down a little bit, so it's a little bit lower, but I'm actually happy with where they are, because if I make the top as well, I think it works. If I was going to wear a different top, I'd want them to sit a little bit lower, because I've told you before about my weird thing about having a short body, a little sort of weird thing there I don't like. I just think I need to lengthen this bit. So if I was to make them with a different top, I'd want to drop this waist down a little bit to make my body look a little bit longer. And yeah, the length I think is fine. I mean, I've given myself a good, what's that? It's probably, I think it was about 3.5 centimetre turn up on my hems, because I found that putting a nice large hem on the bottom of these kind of big trousers, billowy trousers, makes them hang better. I don't know whether that's true or not, but that I found that does work for me anyway. And then the sew over at Cami, well, it's a classic. I've made this loads of times. I made an 8 on the shoulders, grade to a 10 for the chest. I think I've shortened the bodice by 1.5 inches. I have to do a weird stitch on the shoulder seam here, because if I just do it the way that they tell you to do it, for some reason these bits on the inside of the neck stick up and they sit proud. They're just this weird thing, but I think that's to do with the fact that I've got quite narrow shoulders, and so I have to kind of stitch at a weird diagonal that goes like quite sharp. So one end is like 1 centimetre and then the other end is 2 centimetres, so it just makes it sit better on my shoulders. So if you've found that, then maybe give that a go if you've got any issues with that. It's usually because I think it's because of this bit here on me is small. And then what else? What else have I got to say? That's it, I think, about these. I love them. I absolutely love them. I didn't think I was going to love them this much, to be honest. I thought they weren't going to work for me. I thought they're going to be worn as pyjamas. No one's going to see them. And I'm really chuffed that they worked. I really love them. I love this fabric. I wish I'd have been able to buy more of this fabric, because I think it's just so beautiful. It's so nice and light to wear. It feels gorgeous. Drapes beautifully with these trousers. Yeah, I'm really happy with them. I'm just hoping that I'm going to get to wear them before the weather turns, because we've had some beautiful sunny days here past few days. It's been like heaven, and now the storms have come. We've got some rain. It hasn't been too bad today, but the storms have come. You know, I'm just always banging on about the weather here. It's like, I wish it was like the Mediterranean, really beautiful and sunny, but it's not. So anyway, what else have I got to chat about quickly before I dash off? Let me think. Oh, I've remembered something. Okay, so I may have, did I tell you? Yes, I may have told you already about the fact that I have been asked to do some projects for Minerva. So what's it called? Minerva brand ambassador, that's it. So yeah, I'm really chuffed with this, and you know, it may not be a big deal for anybody else, but for me it's a really big deal. I think it's really lovely to be asked to do something like this, and I'm super chuffed. So I chose my fabric that I wanted, and it is an art gallery cotton fabric. So have I got that the right way around? I think I have. And it is so beautiful and soft. I have washed this, so it's a bit creased. I don't bother to iron it before I use it. Well, I will before I cut the thing out, but not yet. And you can just about see there, it's kind of like a peachy colour. I hope it's coming up okay on the camera, with these kind of gold flowers on these white sort of, you know, shapes. I don't know what that shape is, house shaped. Yeah, and there was a few lovely cottons, but I just know I kept getting drawn to this one for some reason. So yeah, I've chosen that, and I think I know what I'm going to make with it, but I have to keep it under wraps until I told Minerva, I think. So I think the idea is I have to tell Minerva first. I have to put it on their website as to what I'm going to do, and then I can tell everybody else. So I think that's the idea. So yeah, when I have got that started, I will be able to put some pictures up on my Instagram and the Minerva site. I'm the same, what's it called, username on Minerva as I am on here, Sewing Yogi, and the same for Instagram. And I've also decided to open up a Facebook page. So for those of you who are not on Instagram, and I know there's probably lots of you that are not on Instagram, because I know lots of people can't get their head around Instagram, which is fair enough, because I'm the opposite. I can't get my head around Facebook, so I don't really go on there very often, but I have started a Facebook page, and I will put the link down below. If you wanted to follow me on the Facebook page, I'm going to put all the same stuff as I put on the Instagram on the Facebook page. So if you did want to see all the stuff that I do, all the makes that I make first on there, then you can see them on there. So I just thought I'd set that up just for you guys, because, you know, I know that not everybody is on Instagram. And it's funny, it's one of those things, I don't mind the Instagram one. I can get my head around that one. I can navigate around it quite fairly easily. Obviously, there's some things I still don't know how to do. I don't know anything about the Reels thing and all the fancy stuff that loads of other people do. I just stick stuff on my grid. I don't think about any of the other stuff. I think that's enough. So yeah, I thought I'd do that for you. And when I've got this up and running and I've got it cut out what I'm going to make, and I put it up on the Minerva thing, then I'll be able to reveal what I'm going to make. I'm really excited about this. I'm a little bit scared as well, because it's posh fabric. I'm probably going to make a twirl before I make the actual item, because, you know, I'm not used to having posh fabric. You know what I'm like with my market buys. Posh fabric, I'm just going to be like too scared to cut into that. So I've got to just go for it and take the dive and just do it. So yeah, I think that's about it for today. And I'm hopefully going to be back next week. But if not, what I'm going to try and do is just get a vlog in whenever I can. It'll just call something random chat probably. And it'll just come up whenever I can put it up, basically. But I'm really going to hope that I can get back into it again now. But it is just because I've started back with doing more classes and my healing work. I have quite a few clients that come to me for healing. So they're all now coming back in now that I can see them again one-to-one. So it's just one of those of just trying to juggle the time and all that. But everybody's the same, aren't they, at the moment? We're getting back to work, going back into the office. So yeah, I'm really hoping that you enjoyed what I talked about today. And sorry if I was a bit waffly and a bit overexcitable. And I really hope that you will join me again. And if you like this vlog, then please do give me the thumbs up, and please subscribe if you haven't already. I hope I haven't put you off with just being mad today. And I shall see you again soon. Take care of yourselves and have a fantastic weekend. Sending you all love and light. Bye.